So, I've yet to get my OS Linux 1 channel up and going yet, but it's been a very busy 3 or 4 weeks now at work, and I just haven't had the additional time. In my last video, I told you that there's a lot going on over here. Well, you know, this is what I was doing. I was cleaning it up. I was cleaning my whole apartment. So this is the laptop. That's my desktop. This is a version of Linux, Debian 12, and this is Arch Linux. It's a different distribution of the Linux operating system, and they differ. And I'm not going to get into all that right now, a little bit, but I'll get into that later in another video because there's just too much involved in that. Anyways, I'm not a professional with this. I do know some stuff about it, but there's a lot to learn. But nobody knows it all. It's just there's too much to cover. You just learn more and more over time. I got this mouse pad. It's a Linux command. I wouldn't call it a cheat sheet, but it's like a, I don't know what you call it. It has a lot of command line commands in the terminal, and it just kind of helps. It's a quick guide, basically. Yeah, like you can type in Control+C, and it's a kill current process command, shortcut keys, stuff like that. Anyways, moving on. So I got this laptop, and you know, it comes pre-installed with Windows, either 10 Pro or 11. I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't let it, you know, establish. No, actually, I take it back. I did complete the installation for it. It's kind of locked me into it. But I finally got into the BIOS and was able to plug in a bootable USB. I was still having some problems because some of the newer Intel CPUs, and sometimes when you get a pre-configured computer, where it's a desktop or a laptop, sometimes the CPU is locked with by Lenovo or Dell or whoever. You can get the same CPU offline, you know, or whatever, from Intel or AMD or whatever, and it's not locked. But if you were to go to eBay, you might see one for sale and it'll say it's from a Dell computer, but it's locked. They can be unlocked, but that's a different topic of itself. But what I need to get at is this Linux is Linux, however you want to pronounce it, is much different than Windows, Microsoft Windows. It's a much safer, secure, better, lighter. It doesn't take up as much space. There's not as much going on in the background. It doesn't bog your system down. It's not problematic like that. But and one of the reasons I switched from Windows to Linux is simply because of security reasons. And a lot of people might say, well, you know, I'm not too worried about that, but until you get hacked, like really hacked, and your network has been compromised, and I'm not talking about somebody just getting your Wi-Fi password, I'm talking about real spyware or malware, malicious malware, firmware that really takes control of your computer. It can take control of any of your devices on your network because they get your IP address and they bypass all your security, and they can. I mean, I was literally watching them open up stuff on my computer, and I know it wasn't me. I was literally watching the cursor, so I know they can get access and bypass your administrative control, over your computer. So because they can access passwords, accounts, anything they want to, I completely removed Windows from my operating system and I put Linux. I think I mentioned several months ago in one of my videos about that happening. So I said, no, I'm not going to allow this. I'm not going to allow this to happen a second time. I'm going to completely remove the operating system. Change bank accounts, passwords, emails, everything that you can think of as just an initial response. And then I set up I installed Linux Mint to begin with. It's comparable to Debian in the sense that it has a desktop. This is Plasma, and with Linux Mint it had Cinnamon. Anyways, it's comparable to Windows. Like, you can go down here and click where you normally have start, and you have your selections. Games, graphics, internet, multimedia, office, games. All it has chess. Well, I don't really play games, but chess, yeah, I play chess. Anyway, so this is just how I have mine set up. I have the Plasma for now with a Nordic, we call it, collar scheme. Anyways, and I don't have Google. I have Windows, Microsoft, not Microsoft, Mozilla Firefox. But and you can get other search engines that's not from Google or powered by Google. Some of them are powered by Google, but they're not Google, like DuckDuckGo, or I can't remember the other ones. But one of the things I was going to talk about is I got a VPN, a virtual private network, from Proton VPN. So if you're interested in having a more secure operating system and a secure network, a Wi-Fi password is not going to be sufficient. That's probably one of the first times I've ever had my literal network and computer accessed. They can get anything they want off of it like that. You clearly see it happen. I don't know how they got it. There was no obvious way that they acquired it. But nevertheless they did. Okay? That's the point. With all these places that require an email for sales prices, where it's a gas station, a pharmacy, or some other store, they always want your email. Well, sometimes these places, they give out your email information, and maybe that's how they got it. I don't know. I really don't. Anyways, so it wasn't just like something that says, oh, it's infected with the virus. This was the real thing. So, this was completely unacceptable. But anyways, so I installed Linux on both of my computers. That's Arch Linux. Debian is a different installation process. Actually, I still have to install that one. I tried installing Arch on the laptop, but I was having I eventually got it installed, but not on the NVMe M.2 SSD. I was having some problems. I thought that Microsoft had locked it, but I eventually was able to try Debian, which is a lot easier to install. It's similar, well, it's a, what they call a graphical installation. It's much more simple than Linux, Arch. But Arch isn't really that difficult nowadays due to the fact that you can find so many videos on YouTube or even their website, the installation guide, and it pretty much walks you through it. You just have to type stuff in. I mean, it's not that complicated. But there's a lot of customization along with that. You have to format drives, partition drives, install different packages is what they refer to them as, and which in turn offers features of a variety of different sorts. You can install this same desktop, so it look the same as this, but it'd be in the background would be a different version of Linux. But Debian 12 is a really stable version of Linux. Arch is like the bleeding edge, and when I say that, I mean it has the most recent updates to Linux, but it has a drawback is it's not as stable. You know, it's more subject to crashes because it's the most recent, as opposed to Debian 12, where they really don't release any updates or any versions to Debian till after it's went through rigorous tests and has all the bugs and everything fixed. That's why it's called Debian stable. I mean, businesses have databases and use servers, big servers. They use Linux, Debian. There's other ones they use like OpenSUSE, but they use distributions of Linux such as Debian because it's a very stable operating system. It's reliable, dependable, secure. So I got that one on the laptop, and Arch Linux is more of it's kind of more for advanced users, but it's at the same time it's also, if you really want to learn Linux, it's really the way to go, kind of, in my opinion. I mean, people's opinions may vary. If you want to use like Linux, if they're going from Windows to Linux and you want something that's very similar in its experience and you're not necessarily trying to learn how to script or use all the terminal commands and stuff like that in that way, no more than you may have to, then you might go with something like Debian 12. There's Ubuntu. I might show you some of them, and Linux Mint, and Fedora. There's several that you can use, but there's other ones that's more customizable, more complex, and requires more user input, you know, to install things and configure things, such as Arch, Gen 2. Gen 2 is kind of even more sophisticated than Arch because you got to do that stuff more manually, you know, programming it. But, you know, there's pros and cons to both. To install the same things on Gen 2 as you would on Arch, you pretty much got to break it all down and do it more manually than with Arch, where it kind of comes in a package deal. Still, there's a lot of stuff you have to do manually, but you can customize. You can eliminate a lot of stuff like with Debian or some of these other distributions like Ubuntu or even Fedora. They come with packages, and they come with a lot of features and software already with it, and you can add more and you take from it, but it's already there. Whereas Arch, you pretty much have to do it all manually, but it comes in a package at the same time. Whereas like with Gen 2, it's the other form of Linux I'm referring to. You got to pretty much do almost every little thing, and it gets more complicated, to get stuff to work because it's just not all included, basically. It's a simple way of putting it, based on my understanding of it, or how I explain it. But I want to talk about, like, you don't necessarily have to have Linux for a VPN. There's a lot out there, but there's some that's way better than others. Virtual Private Network, Proton, is one of the top ones. And if you've ever literally been hacked and have actually witnessed it in person and had it happen, you're going to be looking most likely for something more secure that actually is proven, even if you have to pay for it. They have a free version, and I used the free version the first time, but it didn't always stay online because it's free. And what is this? I need to check this. It's not supposed to be that way. Anyway, that's the actual the website. Anyway, but yeah, I have this installed. But there's different servers, different countries you can use. But it scrambles your IP address so that it can't be traced. Basically, it passes through highly secure servers through the network, and therefore it throws your signal all over the world so they can't trace it. But in a simple way, and so I did that to help secure my network, change the operating system so that they could not see the spyware and the malware attacks that usually happen on Windows systems is usually that operating system specific, like for Windows. They won't necessarily work or have the same effect on a Linux open source operating system platform, which is what Linux is. So it doesn't mean that Linux can't be hacked. It just means that it's way more secure and it's way less common. And that's without even putting the virtual private network on it. Or on a virtual private network. With the one I got unlimited, which is for high speed internet. You also get encrypted. You get highly secure encrypted email. You can get an email. I haven't set it up yet. But and storage. Some other things. I don't remember what it was. Anyways, I set that up. I got the Debian Linux installed, but the next thing I plan on doing is actually an external piece of hardware that your Ethernet literally connects to. So it's another line of defense. It's a highly secure firewall. So when the signal comes in or goes out, it has to go through this extra addition of security. It's an external device that provides a firewall or serves the same purpose as a firewall. But it's another piece of hardware that allows you to set up a very secure firewall. And so, penetration into your actual computers is extremely challenging. And these little vaults here, they ain't cheap. This one's like 160, the other one's like 230, the other one's 280. So Yeah, but this is what they look like. But anyway, it's just about setting up a secure, safe network. So that's what I ended up kind of tired. There's a big blizzard winter storm that passed through here. And there's not much to do with setting, so that's what I'm doing with the computers. But yeah, on my other channel, I'm going to go more over this stuff. I'm just getting the ball rolling on all this. This I'll probably finish tonight and install it, and then tomorrow I'll show another video of that and what all I did to it. I haven't got to the point to where I'm going to do a walkthrough and show you how to do it and what you need to do that. And kind of the reason I put Debian on this laptop was to simply see if I could get the operating system installed on the NVMe SSD and didn't just use it as a bootable drive like this. It's a bootable drive. This is what you install it with, but then once you install it, you just remove this, and it's actually on the SSD itself. But I had problems with the Arch. It was working, but it was slow and not responsive like this, where if I click on something, it or it just comes up real fast, like this. But it just wasn't responsive, and I tried. It was almost like you weren't getting a connection, but it was not the internet. It was something else. But that's the thing with Arch. It takes a while to work out some bugs, and it may, whether I didn't do something correct in configuring and installing it, or if it was the setup in the BIOS of the laptop at the time, or if it's the Intel CPU, or if it was the Microsoft Windows. I have not yet diagnosed or found out what that was about. But I didn't have the problems on the AMD processor in my desktop. And I may build another computer later, or like I said before, upgrade that one. But this is like my project experimental computer. This is just like a business laptop that I use. But that's what I'm doing right now. I'm getting things to where when I present stuff on my OS Linux 1 channel, it's actually beneficial and can help with anybody that's just learning or want to learn it from a kind of a practical approach. There's quite a bit to it. There's quite a few books out there, if you read them, that you can learn how to do it. I got several books on my phone, on Kindle. I kind of prefer reading books in book form as opposed to Kindle, but I have them on there. Well, my phone's right there. But there's Linux, the command line basics, one for hacking. It's ethical hacking. I got one that was written by professors from MIT. But I think it was published from London, England. But that's not really Linux. That's more about how to build computers. That's not necessarily the hardware. Building it is and it's not necessarily programming. It's more about how it's more in depth of how a computer hardware communicates with an operating system for it to work. You know, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, I haven't read all those books. I skimmed through the introductions and like table of contents and things like that for most of them. As far as actually reading them, I haven't read them all. And I haven't really had time lately. I just, I'm already tired, but I might read some here in a little bit. Thought about getting an actual Kindle to read them on. I just couldn't seem to get into reading from a Kindle in the past. I just seem to prefer an actual book. And the books I got in Kindle version, I may actually end up ordering the book variant because I just prefer, I think, a book. I just seem to study more that way. Of course, I read a lot of the Bible online as opposed to, I used to always read out of the book, but I read and study it online all the time now on my phone. Of course, I'm at work all the time, so it's very convenient. But, reading something like, but I just read a couple chapters at a time. I would read more than that a day. But in like something like Linux, I want to sit down and read several chapters of these books. For at least like, I don't know, for throughout the day. Which, there's a lot of online resources too, videos on YouTube. But some stuff I like to read out of a book. I see on some of the better books, you just have to do your research online and read reviews and take your time to find the right books. You can get the same college level books that someone who does go to MIT actually purchases online. You could actually take all the subjects in a curriculum like computer science online. You could actually acquire the same knowledge without the actual degree. I don't plan on doing this as like a job. This is just a hobby, something I do in the spare time. It's kind of, other than setting up a secure network, that's just kind of for privacy and protection. You don't want somebody framing you for crimes or stealing your information or using your information. People do that. Just taking a little bit out of your account, $20 here, something you don't notice. But if they do that to like 100 people or 50 people or 20 people, they can make a lot of money that way. So yeah, so gotta watch some of that stuff. But I'm gonna go over real quick some of these Linux distributions. You can pretty much download it onto Windows, Microsoft, Windows operating system and replace it with the Linux. Let's say Linux Mint. This is a very common one. Maybe slow down a little bit because I'm on a VPN, but at least it's secure. This is a very popular one. I had this on this computer earlier. I went through Debian and Gentoo a little bit, but I got Arch on there right now. But Linux Mint, you can YouTube it and learn about it. It's very similar to Windows. It's similar to Debian, but I just I like Debian for stability reasons. Linux Mint isn't really problematic either. Still trying to get used to this mouse pad and stuff here on this. Anyways, Boom Boom 2 is another one. You can see it even shows that download now. It's another version of Linux. You know, but you can try that. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I'm drowsy. But another one is, well, I should show you Debian. It's not as easy to install, but it's not really that difficult either. Debian 12, it's a little different. Their website's nothing fancy, but you know, it comes with different desktop environments. There's what they call GNOME, KDE Plasma, LXDE, LXQT, May, XFCE version 4.1. Hey, see, there's more recent updates of these desktop environments. But see, like, you know, it's got a toolbar at the bottom here, and like I said, it's got the application launcher. And but it's very similar to Windows. You know, you got like LibreOffice. It's kind of like Microsoft Office. I mean, is it actually on here? Yeah. It's kind of like Microsoft Office. But, yeah, it's very similar, you know. And it's actually better because it comes with a lot more features. But, you know, it's very similar. But that's what I have on here. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm going to try to get this set up, and then I'm going to show you kind of a more customized version of Linux that it doesn't have a desktop. It has what they call window managers that's being customized with what they call window tile software that allows to have more fluid interface interaction experience. There's a lot of customization that you can change and work with in Linux that Windows simply does not, to my knowledge, offer anything like that. And so I'll get back on here. This is just another follow-up video. I did get it installed. It is on the hard drive like I wanted it to be. And and I'll show you Arch too. But this is Debian. It's very similar to like a regular, like what you may be used to with a regular computer Windows. But it's, but in the background, in the heart of the system, it's a lot better operating system. So I'll see you again here next time on Underground. Don't forget to click the subscribe and come and check out my other channel, OS Linux 1, when I get it up and running and everything's working. And if you want to learn more about this or find some direction or advice or help, you can learn it with me. You can use it. You know, maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe you'll like it. you know, it's interesting to me. So I'll see you again here next time on the Ground, and stay tuned.